Channel 347, your hallucinating state of nations today. Channel Ling. Um, Here we are again. Take two. I've already done a take on this, but it kind of I got the audio up too high and it started distorting all the way through it. So I'm doing a retake, and the theme right is with a song. I've got a song at the end. Hey, so if you wanna hear the song, you gotta listen to everything else I fucking say. Um, and stick with the whole thing until it's in the middle actually. Towards when I've done the first part, it's about that's 2/3, and then there's the tag on at the end. So you can go there if you like, but that would be up to you, of course. Like you can go anytime you like. But I don't normally do commercials, right? But well, if I get a couple more views, it'll do. So I'm not into commercials. Um, but I heard what they do on Fortnite. Kind of much younger than me. It's not right. Anyway, so it's me tunes. It's kind of it's okay. That one 7.3. Yeah, so I'm gonna pick up on the same theme as previously. So we're back on psychedelics, and in particular, the running experience. All my songs came from that period, and I haven't finished with them yet, really. I've got some more, but these ones need to um, find their way home first. And so psychedelics, and that mushroom trip I was telling you about, where there's about 5 or 6 characters that turned up. I'm still looking for one of them. I can't find. There's one that was missing. The detective started it. I was telling you about him the other day. There's always a detective. Always folklore since the 17th century. Always crime. So anyway, there was. I'm going to tell you about a couple of the other characters, and one of them because it kind of fits with the rest of the story was Jean-Paul Sartre. He turned up. He was one of the, and it's like I kind of made sure that no one was around because they would have probably had me reported. I wasn't normal. I was six different, and I had to have anyway Jean-Paul Sartre, and I hadn't read him for a long time, but he kind of wouldn't go. I tried, but he wouldn't. And he came home to me when I was tripping in the middle of Crawley town one day when 5 times the strength of anything today, yeah, absolutely. I was walking up next to Gatwick Airport, right, which had the unfortunate story of turning up as the uh, second highest on heroin addiction in the country per head of population. So they had a kind of plainclothes Christiana scholar. I'm not going there. John Paul Sartre, right? So I was tripping my bollocks off one day in Crawley, 1971 or two, around that time. And I was coming at High Street that one, like after midnight, sometime, and there's still people around. And I was with probably a couple of mates, can't remember now, all tripping. We used to go out once a month, right, religiously with a tab acid, 4 of us, or 5, depending. And I was walking up the high street, and it was wet, and I kind of tripped up, and I fell into the road, and there was a puddle. My head landed straight in the puddle, and well, I was kind of like I was in it, right, and I kind of had I was thinking, fuck. Well, you do, wouldn't you? And then I kind of I thought, hang on a minute. I could open my eyes and I could see things in the puddle, You know, you kind of move into other worlds when you're on that stuff. That brought up Jean-Paul Sartre and the kind of detail he found in um, the minutiae of all life, really. He found stuff in a stone or a rock, and he spent a book on it. You know, it drove me fucking insane. But I had to ponder it in the puddle for a minute. It was kind of like circling my visuals was right in the puddle, reflections, light, and all sorts of things. I was fascinated. It could be dog's piss for all I know, but it didn't bother me at the time. It wouldn't have bothered me. Well, it would now a little bit, maybe. Maybe got if you got up without a mask on, you might be in. Let's not go with that. So he was the second character that turned up. At my hovel. Stone on down the hill. The mills ever on mine. The mills ever on mine. One ain't gonna change. What's Woman ain't gonna change. What's never gonna be. Black is black is black is the night. I say black is the day. Yeah, black is black is the night. Black is the day. Black is the night. Well, alright. Black gon' be my company. Say black gon' be my company. Never was, never will be. I said never was, never will be. Stone just keeps on rolling down the hill. Stone just keeps on rolling down the hill. Taking my breath away. That'll do, you get the idea. So, I like doing tits up. Tits up is great. Try it sometime. Right in the middle. Hold. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up on that with one more character that came um, uh, on the back of the other one I just mentioned, and that was a Sicilian mafia. Now, it's his job at the scene of the crime to keep the fire going, because he was doing like a three-way telepathic between the top of the hill, right, which is like had a view down onto the Windsor Castle. Uh, they had to have there was a three-way conversation going on between him, right, Sicilian mafia. Well, it wasn't then, but the down the line it turned into there was a triangle between Sicily, Rome, and then later. Well, it's like sometimes you got to kind of put your foot down because um, they had a triad at the time. It's like majority had to be majority between the three of them. Decisions that were made, and was it like a betrayal between Sicily, Rome, and what became uh, Windsor Castle? And uh, it was kind of funny that sometimes sperm, right, it kind of takes a roll up the hill hill towards an egg and sits there kind of pondering it for a while. And the symbology is really what we're talking about here, because symbology, right? If you get it, then what I'm talking about really is that if you want to stay in control, if you have power and you want to stay in control, then you have to tell the truth somehow. You got to keep the truth going, because that's the only way you're going to keep it. Well, you need to think about that one, because they do, but you kind of don't pick up on how they do it, because they kind of do in between the crap that gets broadcast. Tell you what they're doing. And of course, you weren't taught like that. Anyway, so what had happened, right, was that there'd always been a majority rule until at some point there was a betrayal between two parties and leaving one out. Well, that was what became the mafia. And so he turned up, right, to put a wrong right, because he'd been betrayed. Well, there's a story of betrayal, right? Take a think for a second, betrayal of what? What you stand for. And what do you stand for when you kind of go on? What do you stand for when you kind of go to a place that's standing for something? Well, you don't betray it unless you don't know what the fuck you are or doing. You can come out with stories, and it tells a story of itself. So he was there, right, to reconnect telepathically with his triad, uh, mafia. Yeah, it kind of like they're not they're kind of Italians, right? But they're not. It's like north and south, it's the same everywhere. You go and speak to a Geordie and see what he thinks about people in London. It ain't the same. Those cloth caps have a different story. The story stopped around mid 1980s. They haven't done it since. It's quite telling about the stuff that goes on between the north and the south. Well, in Italy, it's the same. In the hills, right, in Sicily, mafia. They weren't always the mafia, but if you think about how they developed, it wasn't quite like you think. They'd been betrayed by, well, the kings and the emperors, right, were in Rome, at the Vatican, and then the Vatican. That's why they hid themselves behind a religion that had come from an earlier time. you know, and wrote a book about, you know, and that's where the calendar starts. Kind of gets boring after a while, but you know, you pick up on it if you kind of got any brain left. And that's what they've done, you know, the chemtrails, right? 5 years or 20 years of spraying the skies with dumb down. So they spring a little. Let's not go there. That's kind of a fair job, right? We're not on that tonight. That's another. You know, I kind of pick up. You know, the last drop off was one that should have been picked up. I'm going to say, look, well, you know, I always thought, right. I can't hear. Right, I'm lucky. I kind of get. Anyway, we'll do a stand up. Yeah, stand. But I always thought, right. That, I don't know. I always thought I had a better view than the Queen. This is like where I am, right? Um, I won't go there because it's dangerous country. But you heard of, you know, squatters and stuff. Well, this is what. Anyway, let's. The a better view than the Queen, right? You know, and this is right what they call here, right here, all along this part from down there, right. You can see a little marina. Right, there's the marina. You can see the boats there. From about where, just beyond the end of that, right. I've got the neighbours. You can't see them properly. They're up there. And about where we start, right, all the way down to beyond, you know, sight. It's what they call spawning, sacred spawning grounds. And so, you know, there was a guy, right, who bought this land 20 years ago or so. I'm not sure. And he went to the council here and asked for planning permission to build, and they refused it because it had sacred spawning rights to it, which is kind of interesting if you kind of think about it. And so all along this stretch, it's kind of sacred for fish. In the season of not fishing, it's not the rest of the time that they I don't know, the license. Nothing seems to matter along here. It's interesting. There's kind of interesting characters around. I'm moving on, right, because I know that you won't be here now anyway. So we'll do a pickup, right, on some more characters that came from the same hovel another time. There's plenty more where that came from. The thing is, right, is what well, I can't. I'm not telling you, right? But everybody has their own feet, right? And nobody else walks in anybody else's feet because they don't know. They're not their feet, not the same feet. But any feet, whatever feet there are, has their path which they take. And the trick with that is to begin to register the route with which you're taken, because it's of interest to all the other feet that are taking different routes. Do you get that? I don't know, maybe not. See you later.